Hello and a very warm welcome. My name is Udo Sendaidukai and this is Music Theory on Speed. It would be great if you would leave me a like and a subscription. Then let's get started. There were lately videos from Polarity and Synthorial about the scales and the Bitwig piano roll, because a lot people asking for a visual feature where you can highlight the piano roll with a specific scale, like major, minor, Dorian, Phrygian and so on. And both have their point. That's fair enough, but it doesn't seem that this feature will come any soon. And to be honest, I hope that a lot other workflow features will be there sooner than this visual aid. What is it about? Here a screenshot of the feature in Ableton where you can select a pitch or a bass note and a scale to this pitch. The piano roll is then colored everywhere where you are in the correct scale. And that's a very nice feature. So Polarity said you don't need that because you can learn the scales easily, and Synthorial said, but if you don't know that, such a feature would help you very much if you like to create chord progressions in your scale. Fair points, but if you don't know the scales, you have to look it up every time if you stop watching this video. But in the real world, you rarely just use only notes from the scale in your melody or chord progression. A scale is only a frame, a base, a start and an end. And like J. Collier, an English singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, producer and educator said, there are no wrong notes, it just depends what your next note is. There's a scale problem with major and minor. Let's take the simplest scale C major because it only uses the white keys. If you do then the classic 3 notes chord C, E and G, you get this major chord sound, and if you just move the fingers up in the scale and start with D, you get D, F, A. But that is a minor chord. So using just keys in the scale, in this case the white keys with your chords, brings you in trouble if you just want to stay in major. With this goal, it is not possible to stay in major. So to play a major chord starting from D, you have to increase the F a half step to F sharp. So you get D, F sharp, A major chord. So what can you do? You could learn all the scales like Polarity said. You say that this is complicated and takes a long time. How about I tell you that scales are the most easiest thing in music theory and you can learn them in some minutes and never forget it again? And the only 2 things you have to memorize is C and A, even for the Gregorian scales, and even some more of the mysterious music theory. You already know all the major scales because you know that C major is only the white keys, and if you look on the keys, they have a special distance to each other across the whole octave. Then you have the 7 notes for your C major scale. And let's take the first note of the next octave to it, then it sounds better if you play them after each other. So here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the perfect fifth in your scale. 6, 7, and from the next octave, the 8. A short notice to the perfect fifth. In our example, the scale C major, from the bass note C to the perfect fifth, there are 7 half steps. That's why the perfect fifth is always shown in your DAW as +7 and not as +5. The perfect fifth in a scale is 7 half steps from the bass note you are currently playing. In general, a perfect fifth is the musical interval corresponding to a pair of pitches with a frequency ratio of 3 to 2. And that sounds very good to our ears. So now you know as well about the basic of the perfect fifth. Coming back to the major scale, now you can move these notes all across the keys, and the lowest note is your bass note. And you can see which white and black keys do you need for your major scale. For example, D major, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Or F sharp major, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp, F, and F sharp. And you can do that for all major scales. Easy, when you're starting from C major, painting the notes and moving them around. Okay, we are still in our C major scale with 7 notes enhanced with 1 note to 8 notes. So to learn the scale, you would need to learn all the 7 half steps distances from one note in scale to another note in scale. This would mean for major scale, and let's look at the simple C major. Count the half steps of the whole scale. 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. This is the complicated way. Let's look at the easy way, and now you understand why I took the first note of the next octave to get 8 notes, because you can divide them by 2 and split the whole extended scale in 2 parts with 4 elements each. If you now look closer to the keys 1 to 4 and 5 to 8, you noticed that the half steps of both intervals are identical. Remember, intervals are the continuous following keys of a scale. So starting from C and counting the half steps between the notes of the scale, you start again with 2, 2, 1, the first 4 notes. Then starting over again with the 5th note, 2, 2, 1, the second 4 notes. This split that made it so easy are 2 tetrachords. Tetra in this case is Greek and means 4. It is a series of 4 notes separated by 3 intervals. 3 because you don't count the starting note, your bass note. Starting with the first note C, then to D, to E, to F, 3 intervals, and starting from the 5th note, G, then to A, to B, to C. Again, 3 intervals. So every block of 4 continuous notes in your scale is a tetrachord. And 2 tetrachords are your enhanced octave. Now you know the tetrachords. So in future you will remember a major scale has 2 to 1 half steps in 1 tetrachord, and you need 2 tetrachords. Then you have 2 to 1, 2 to 1. Pay attention, that looks different of the technique of counting the whole scale at once, where you start counting only 1 time, while you start counting 2 times when using the 2 tetrachords technique. And when you start counting, you don't count the starting note. That's why you get with the tetrachords 2 to 1 and 2 to 1 for the major scale, for every major scale. So let's summarize this part 1, because this was the most difficult part of the whole workshop. Apart from the videos about the major-minor problem, you learned that the perfect fifth with a 3-to-2 ratio is a really good sounding frequency ratio that you can find always 7 half steps above from your current bass note. That all major scales have the same half step distance and you can do it the complicated way with counting the whole octave. Or you go the easy way and use the 2 tetrachords with 4 continuous notes in the scale and memorize just the half step patterns of the intervals. And the other scales? That is so easy, I think you doubt I tell you the truth, but let me try. So you know C major has all the white keys, so it is easy to get the half step distances. The parallel key to C major is A minor, 3 half steps down. That means you start with A, and A minor has as well only white keys, so to major scale there is as well always a minor parallel scale that is called parallel key, and vice versa. Parallel keys just means that they have the same scale, so same keys, but only starting with a different bass note. And you always find them from the major scale 3 half steps down and from the minor scale 3 half steps up. Now you know parallel key. So the easiest minor scale is A minor with only white keys, because it is the parallel key of C major. Using our tetrachord technique, you get 2, 1, 2, and again 2, 1, 2. And this is the magic formula for all minor scales. To be precise, for the natural minor scales. There are 3 different minor scales, but mostly we use natural minor. With twice the 2-1-2 pattern, you can move across the whole octaves and always get a natural minor scale. And now the mysterious Gregorian scales demystified. You guessed it already. Since these scales can be played on our keyboard, there is in each scale one of them with only white keys. So let's get started. Ionian. Sounds like major, is major, because Ionian has exactly the same keys like the C major scale and starts with the C. It is identical with C major, so it has only white keys in the scale. Dorian. Sounds minor. Dorian starts with a D and only has white keys in the scale. Phrygian. Sounds minor. Phrygian starts with an E and has only white keys in the scale. Lydian. Sounds major. Lydian starts with the F and has only white keys in the scale. Mixolydian. Sounds major, very often used. Mixolydian starts with a G and you guessed it, has only white keys in the scale. Aeolian. Sounds minor. Is minor because Aeolian is identical to A natural minor, and as we all know, it has only white keys in the scale. Locrian sounds minor, very rarely used. Locrian starts with a B and has only white keys in the scale. And again, you can use the tetrachord technique as well for these scales. Simply put your hand on the keys and count the first 3 intervals, repeat that a second time, and you have your scale for the full octave. Maybe you have some good words to memorize which note of the Gregorian scale has only white keys. Maybe Sionian for C, Dorian for D, Phrygian for E, Lydian for F, Mixolydian or DJ Mixolydian for G, Aeolian for A, Locrian for B. I don't know. I would say this is a minor problem, but since these are Gregorian scales, this would just confuse everybody. So let me know your ideas for better memorizing the Gregorian scales in the comments. Let me summarize the last time all the learned music theory where you thought in the beginning this is difficult. You know about the perfect fifth with the 3:2 ratio and that it is 7 half steps above your current bass note. You know the tetrachords consisting of 4 notes and 3 intervals where you can create the half steps pattern for the half octave, and with simply repeating this step you get the whole octave for your scale. You know major and minor scales with C and A as starting point. You know that all major scales have a parallel minor scale and vice versa, just with counting 3 half steps down from the major scale to the minor scale, or counting from a minor scale 3 half steps up to the major scale. That is called parallel key. You know now that we normally use natural minor and there are 2 more minor scales, but they are less used. You know the Gregorian scales, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian, with their white key bass notes C Ionian, D Dorian, E Phrygian, F Lydian, G Mixolydian, A Aeolian, B Locrian. Now you know that C major has only white keys and is the starting point of the Gregorian scale, and A minor has as well only white keys. You can easily build every pitch in those scales in seconds. You see, it is very easy to understand, to use and build every scale I explained, because you only have to know C and A and how to count to 4. And if you have friends you think they are as well able to count to 4, and this tutorial might help them as well, please share this video to them. It would help me as well very much. Thank you. Now it was wonderful with you as always, but unfortunately our time is over. My name is Odo Sendai-Dukai, thanks for watching and paying attention. I'd love to read from you in the comments and hope to see you soon again in the next video. Stay healthy, save the future, take care, see you then, ciao ciao.